Imagine this. You're sitting in your boss's office and he's explaining why you won't be getting that raise you deserve. And instead of walking out, instead of calling his bluff, instead of telling him what you really think, you smile, nod, and say, "I understand." Because you need the health insurance, because your partner's job doesn't offer it, because you have 2 car payments, a mortgage based on both salaries, and a lifestyle that requires every single dollar from both paychecks. This is the 2-income trap, and the math is absolutely brutal. Here's the thing nobody tells you about dual income households. You'd think 2 incomes means twice the security, twice the options, twice the freedom. But for most couples, it's the exact opposite. 2 incomes don't give you financial security. They cut your life flexibility in half while doubling your points of failure. My name is Megan. I'm an accountant, and here I share smart financial tips that anyone can implement today. If you're in a 2-income household and you feel like you have less freedom than you should with your combined salary, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button if this helps you see what's really happening with your money. Now, before we dive into the brutal math of all this, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how 2-income couples making $140,000 a year somehow feel broker than single-income families from the 1970s, making the equivalent of $55,000? It's not your imagination. There's something deeply broken about how dual incomes actually function in modern life, and I'm going to show you exactly what it is. Picture the typical progression. You're dating. You each have your own apartment, your own car, your own bills. Combined, you're making maybe $120,000. Life feels manageable. Then you move in together, and this is where the trap starts to close. You don't cut your expenses in half like you'd expect. Instead, you upgrade. Better apartment, nicer neighborhood, 2-car garage instead of street parking. You're making $120,000 combined, so you can afford $2,800 a month in rent instead of $1,400. That's the first mistake, but you won't realize it for years. Then comes the house, and here's where the math gets really interesting. When you walk into that mortgage lender's office as a couple, they don't calculate what you can afford based on one income. They calculate based on both, always. That $450,000 house, it requires both of your salaries, not one, both. The bank just built your financial prison and you signed up for it voluntarily because it felt like you were maximizing your purchasing power. Here's what actually happens next. Within 24 months of buying that house, your entire life has restructured itself around requiring both incomes. The cars get newer because we can afford it. The insurance gets more expensive. Daycare costs $1,900 a month per kid. Work wardrobes cost more because you both have professional jobs. You're eating out more because you're both exhausted from working. Groceries cost more because you buy the expensive stuff now. You're a $140,000 household after all. Your property taxes go up because you're in a better school district. Let me show you exactly how this works with real numbers, because this is where it gets wild. Let's say partner A makes $75,000 and partner B makes $65,000. Sounds great, right? $140,000 household income. But here's what that actually looks like after everything. Partner A's $75,000 becomes about $54,000 after federal taxes, state taxes, and FICA. Partner B's $65,000 becomes about $47,000. So you're really working with $101,000 combined, not $140,000. Already, that's a 28% haircut right off the top. But wait, because here's the part that will blow your mind. Partner B has to drive 35 minutes to work. That's $320 a month in gas, $180 in car insurance, and $425 in car payments. Work clothes and dry cleaning, another $150 a month. Grabbing lunch, $240 a month. Their job doesn't offer insurance, so they're on partner A's family plan, which costs an extra $380 a month. Daycare for one kid, $1,900 a month. Add that up. That's $3,595 in monthly expenses that exist purely because partner B is working. That's $43,140 a year in costs to maintain a $65,000 job. Partner B's actual net contribution to the household, $3,860 annually. That's $321 a month. And here's the kicker, you can't quit. Because your mortgage payment is $3,200 a month, and that's based on both incomes. But here's where it gets really dark. This isn't just about money. It's about what happens to your life when you lock yourself into needing both incomes. See, when you're a single income household with a solid emergency fund, you have something incredibly valuable that doesn't show up on any balance sheet. You have options. You have what I call walking away money. Your boss treats you like garbage, you can leave. Your company wants to transfer you to a city you hate, you can say no. You want to take 3 months off to care for a sick parent, you can do it. You see an opportunity to start a business or switch careers or go back to school, you can take the risk. Because one income is enough. One income covers the baseline. The second income is optional. But when you've built your life around requiring both incomes, all of those options disappear. You don't have walking away money, you have golden handcuffs money. And the trap isn't just financial, it's temporal, geographical, professional, and emotional all at once. I struggled with this too, until I saw how it played out with my sister and her husband. They're both engineers making really good money, over $180,000 combined. Sounds amazing, right? But when she got an incredible job offer in another state with a 30% raise, they couldn't take it. Because her husband's job didn't have an equivalent position there. They're stuck. Not because they can't afford to move, but because they can't afford for one person to not work while job hunting. The two-income trap isn't about being broke, it's about being locked in. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but Megan, we need both incomes to survive. This isn't a choice. And I hear you. For some families, it absolutely isn't. But here's what most people completely miss. It's not about whether both partners work. It's about whether you've structured your life to require both incomes. There's a massive difference between both partners work and we save the second income, and both partners work and we've designed a lifestyle that requires every dollar. One gives you options, the other gives you a trap. Think about it this way. Imagine two couples, both making $140,000 combined. Couple A bought the house they could afford on one income, drives used cars, and banks the entire second income. Couple B bought the maximum house the bank would give them, has 2 car payments, and spends everything they make. Both couples are bringing in the same money, but couple A has options. Couple B is one layoff away from complete disaster. And this is something that will probably surprise you. The data backs this up in a brutal way. According to the Federal Reserve, dual-income households are actually more likely to face financial distress than single-income households at the same total income level. Why? Because they've optimized for income instead of resilience. One engine fails, the whole thing crashes. Stick with me here because this is where the psychology gets really interesting. When you're in a dual income trap, it changes how you make every single decision. Should you speak up in that meeting? No, too risky. Should you ask for what you deserve? No, need to keep the peace. Should you set boundaries with your employer? No, need the insurance. Should you pursue that business idea? No, too unstable. Should you move closer to family? No, the jobs aren't there. Your entire life becomes a negotiation between what you want to do and what you need to do to keep both paychecks flowing. And the invisible cost of that negotiation never shows up in your budget, but it shows up in your stress levels, your relationship, your health, your sleep quality, and that nagging feeling that you're supposed to have more freedom than this. Here's the part most financial advice completely ignores. The thing that gives you freedom isn't how much you make. It's the gap between what you make and what you need. A single income household making $80,000 and spending $60,000 has more freedom than a dual income household making $150,000 and spending $148,000. Freedom isn't about income, it's about margin. When you have margin, you can absorb shocks, job loss, medical emergency, car accident, aging parent who needs care, kid who needs therapy, pandemic that shuts down daycares. Life throws these things at everyone. But margin is what determines whether these events are inconveniences or catastrophes. And here's what's really wild. Every single time you increase your fixed costs based on dual income, you're reducing your margin and reducing your options. That bigger house just reduced your options. Those car payments just reduced your options. That private school just reduced your options. You're trading optionality for stuff. And the deal is almost never worth it. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like in real life. You're at work, your boss pulls you into his office and tells you that your project got canceled and they're moving you to a different team with a manager who's notorious for being impossible to work with. In a single income household with 6 months of expenses saved, you can say, that doesn't work for me, and if that's the only option, I'll need to explore opportunities elsewhere. You have leverage, you have options. But in a dual income household where you need both paychecks, you smile, say, I'm a team player, and start updating your resume in secret while dying a little inside every day. Because you can't afford to make waves. You can't afford to take a stand. You can't afford to walk away. You're stuck. And this is where most people mess this up. Couples will build up savings, maybe $30,000 or $40,000, and think, we have security now. And then they'll use that security to justify more fixed costs. Bigger house, new cars, boat. But here's the thing. They just converted their security back into vulnerability. They took their margin and spent it on lifestyle. They've leveled up their prison. The brutal truth is this. The two-income trap isn't created by having two incomes. It's created by spending up to two incomes. And the difference between those two things is the difference between having a life you control and having a life that controls you. So what does the alternative actually look like? It's pretty simple, even though it's not easy. You build your baseline life, housing, cars, insurance, food, utilities, around one income, not the smaller income. One reasonable income. Could be either partners. Doesn't matter. Pick one. Build your fixed costs around that number and that number only. The second income? That money doesn't touch your lifestyle. It goes into 3 buckets. Emergency fund until you hit 12 months of expenses, retirement accounts, and investments. That's it. You don't see it, you don't spend it. This means when you're house shopping, you ignore what the bank says you can afford based on 2 incomes. You calculate what you can afford on 1 income, and you don't go above that number. When you're car shopping, same thing, 1 income. When you're deciding where to live, what neighborhood, what school district, 1 income. And here's what happens when you do this. Suddenly, you have options again. One partner can quit to start a business. You can handle a layoff without panic. You can move cities for an opportunity. You can take a lower paying job that's better for your mental health. You can negotiate at work from a position of strength because you don't need the job. You need a job, but you don't need this job. That's power. Your money becomes a tool for building the life you want, instead of a prison that determines what life you're allowed to have. And the feeling of that shift is remarkable. It's the difference between walking into your boss's office feeling like a hostage and walking in feeling like an equal. I'm not saying both partners shouldn't work. Work is meaningful, careers matter, professional identity matters, but there's a world of difference between choosing to work and having to work. One is freedom, the other is just expensive slavery. The two-income trap is real, and it's brutal, and it's hiding in plain sight in millions of households right now. People who look successful on paper, but feel trapped in practice. People who make six figures, but can't afford to miss a single paycheck. People who have everything except the one thing that actually matters, the freedom to make different choices. Build your life around one income. Save and invest the second. Create margin. Preserve optionality. Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't to maximize your income. The goal is to maximize your freedom. And those two things are not the same. Your future self is sitting somewhere down the road, either thanking you for building a life with options or wishing you'd realized sooner that the prison was optional. The math is brutal, but the choice is yours. The best time to escape the two-income trap was before you fell into it. The second best time is right now.